Greetings. Hi, this is Prophet John Lewis, astrologer, teacher, author. I want to share with you today some global prophetic moments that was documented from September to this date in October 2024. So these are going to be global prophetic moments. Today is October the 8th, 2024. The sun is in Libra, the moon is in Sagittarius, and according to divine Mazzaroth is the Hebrew word for zodiac, lupus is out there doing its thing, all right? So, I receive prophetic messages, have received them most of my life. And I receive them in different ways. Sometimes they're in dreams and we post them, and these are about individuals or sometimes national or international events that are taking place. We have a website, atam.org, A as in Apple, T as in Tom, A as in Apple, M as in Mary.org, where we've posted for decades many prophetic things, especially under the IC page, that is EYEC. We also have the Rising Mystics Institute, that is our online institute, that is www.risingmystics.com. And you'll find a lot of things there. But here we're going to just deal with some of the prophetic moments. And I'm going to just read to you, share with you some of the things that I posted in our private Telegram group in September up until now. We post these events to pray over, to judge, to watch, to see, because we understand and we understand that we know in part and we prophesy in part. We see through a glass darkly, but then it will be face to face. And so I want to share some things with you that I believe that are relevant and where we're moving to, plus other prophets have been pushing me to just get this out, and I'm going to share this. Now, in September, I wrote basically based on what I heard that Kamala Harris, the vice president, would receive a transfer of power. Should be around the full moon in Pisces, and also spoke that she would become the president of the United States at that time, or shortly after, the first female Black and Asian president. Now, what I mean by that is that there are a lot of things happening behind the scenes that we don't see, that we're not privy to know about, unless the Spirit of the Most High God reveals them. It is my belief that Vice President Harris is actually the president, and she's been given that authority and that responsibility for quite some time now. And I have been saying that. And so on that day, when Spirit spoke and told me to write that, it was basically reiterating what was going on so that we can see the bigger picture, if you will, of God. And you'll see as we get further in this how this has materialized. And I'm going to tell you it will yet materialize. I got some dates for you. Okay, the energy at this time is very volatile, the Spirit says. And we were entering into a new moon cycle. This was last month with the new moon in Leo. And the universe is triggering sudden changes. Like I saw it as in a vision, like a chess game. But I didn't see the people that were playing the chess sitting there thinking. I saw this chess game moving fast. They were moving very fast. And the Spirit said to me that everything is being accelerated at this time. Everything is being accelerated. Okay. And so some of the people that you see out front today and that you see in leadership, politicians, CEOs of corporations and things, you won't see them there again for long. Matter of fact, a lot of this word has already come to pass with corporations, and we spoke this in September with all of the disclosure and things coming up with the P. Diddy mess and all. We've seen a lot of just shuffling of things as the Spirit had told us, and we wrote about it in August and in September that would be happening. Okay, and what the Spirit also said to us that, if you realize what is happening at this point, you will not be moved. You will not be moved by the elections and who goes into office or anything like that, if you can see the bigger picture. All right. Now, you need to understand that your leaders are selected before they are elected. I'll say it again. Your leaders are selected before they are elected. So those that choose to vote, I never have. I don't think I ever will. I don't have a party or side. I just see and I prophesy, and I reserve my right to criticize, comment, and do all of that. But your leaders are selected before they are elected. This is the order of things. This is the way it has been for a long time in this country here. You will go to the polls, you have gone to the polls and appear to elect someone that has been groomed to serve, but they have not been groomed to serve the people. They have been groomed to serve those that control them. The evil satanic cabal that controls them is neither Republican, Democrat, or Independent. We could just even throw out the independents. It's neither Republican or Democrat. They own and fund both of the perceived sides. However, this election, says the Spirit of the Lord, this election and political season, the dark forces will have to acquiesce. I see a force of light pushing back the darkness to usher us into a new era, into a new age, into the age of Aquarius. I see this happening. They are making their moves. They are pulling their strings, but I see an upset happening. I see an upset happening. Of course, many who claim to walk in the light and to know the light will call this light darkness. They have become so comfortable with the low vibrational frequencies of fear, hate, and confusion. The evil ones, the hybrid entities, the gods of this world, literally feed off of the negative energies: hate, anger, division, fear, religious dogma, and stupidity that the system creates by playing one side against the other. They simply cannot survive without the energy humans generate through their energy in motions. That's emotions. Did you understand that? The Spirit says the forces behind the scene that are really controlling everything that you see and you don't see. What do you mean, prophet, by you see and you don't see? You see them, but you will not recognize them. You don't see them because they wear a mask. They are behind the scenes and they come forward. You see them in the limelight. You see them in the news, but then you don't see them because you don't know who they are. That many of these people are not even human. That's what the Spirit of the Lord said to us. And I posted it in our Telegram group. Okay. The next one. This was given September 17, 2024. Prophetic Moments Watch. Number 1. President Biden's days are numbered. for him being in the Oval Office or wherever he hangs out at. His days are numbered not just because of the upcoming election. Within the next 35 days, maybe sooner, it shall not go beyond the 35 days. There should be a change of guard, handing over of power to one who is already in power. Vice President Kamala Harris. This is what the Spirit of the Lord said to me, and I wrote it. 9:17. Earlier, as you heard in that first prophetic word, he spoke about a transfer of power and it happening around a full moon. Okay? Now, I want to just say, as I said earlier, there are things happening behind the scenes that you may not know about. So we have, the Spirit says within 35 days. So I believe that within 35 days from September 17th on or about that time, that there will be something made public. I'm known for giving dates, going out on a limb, and God has stood with me most times, because many times this is what I'm seeing. Sometimes it is a prophetic declaration, because walking in the office of a prophet, we do have that authority and power to speak, to decree a thing, and it shall be established. Okay. Now, this was spoken on the 17th of September, right? The Spirit of, how can I say what I say? Let me go to this line. This has to happen before the election, as the Spirit has spoken for over 2 years. So we've been speaking this for over 2 years. So I posted that in Telegram on September the 17th, 2024. September 2025, President Biden went on The View, and he stated that he delegated powers to Vice President Kamala Harris. That's what he stated. In my mind, that was the fulfillment of what the Spirit had been speaking for 2 years, and that we had said within 35 days. However, I don't believe that this disclosure is finished yet. I believe that something else must happen. So today, October the 8th, on The View, Whoopi Goldberg referred to Biden as the acting president on live TV. She called him the acting president. Why? Because he is. I think we all realize there won't be much change seen at first when this transfer of power is complete. Why? Because their controllers own both of the illusionary sides. However, I see light will consume the darkness, and more changes will be seen much more quicker. Number 2, this was yet written on September 17. I see a false flag or two in the Middle East. The evil ones are planning a false flag that will take American lives. I saw this before I posted it on the 17th, and I have been telling the mystics since they expanded the war into Lebanon what I saw happening. However, I posted it because the Spirit said that it was getting close. A false flag. So what does that mean? There is a plan that within 40 days from the 17th, which would bring us to around October 27th, there is a plan for 2 false flag events. One of them will possibly be in this country. The other one will be in the Middle East. I saw missiles being fired. I saw missiles being fired, and I saw that it was as if it may have hit a ship or something that is out there in the Mediterranean, but I see Israel as a suspect, pointing the finger at Iran. I see missiles being fired on Iran by both U.S. and Israel. Okay, so the most vulnerable dates for some events to happen, you need to write this down, are going to be between October 15 and October 19. Between October 15 and October 19. There's a lot of energy that is building up that will peak around October 17. There's a lot of negative energy that is building up that will peak around October 17. This energy is for war, is for protest, is for murder, is for blood, is for unrest and many things happening. However, as I said that within 40 days, I felt that this event, one of the events would happen, which is by the 27th, although the most vulnerable days would be between the 15th and the 19th of October. And again, I repeat, I see Israel as a suspect, pointing the finger at Iran. You cannot believe everything you see on the news. Okay. There's a strong push and pressure to escalate World War III. Most people don't realize that World War III is already happening. Most people don't realize that World War III is already happening. However, they plan to escalate it around the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot. That would be between October 13 and October 23. They are doing this and wanting to use this to somehow sway the election process in this nation. I'm telling you the news before time. These are prophetic moments, and I'm showing you the plan of the enemy so that you can pray about it. Number 3, I saw months ago, and I think way back in June, and I told the mystics, before the war started with Hezbollah and other things, I told the mystics that by the first week of October that Israel would be expanding the war. So we knew that is on recording, on video. And so, but I saw something like Israeli politician or general or some type of leader being killed. And I felt it was going to be in early October, between the first and second week. Now, due to embarrassment, Israel may not release this to the public till later. Due to embarrassment, Israel may not release this to the public till later. Okay? I believe that this could be part of the staging of an event to escalate the war on Iran. The last 2 points that I made, prayer and intercession can lessen or change the impact of these events, but they will happen. Okay, let's go further here. Nevertheless, these are some of the global issues to pray about. I'm just reading what I wrote. Trying to discern the exact dates can be a bit difficult sometimes when you're functioning in the prophetic at the time frame that we're in now. And I don't have time to teach on that, but we're living in a very interesting time where prophecies can fail, where things can be delayed due to mass consciousness, a lot of people praying, and can change or delay issues, or the lack of a lot of energetic prayer can create situations where things happen much faster. Nevertheless, there's a lot of shifting and changes taking place on the planet. Prophetic moments, September 24, 2024, 10:08 a.m. I posted this in our Telegram group. Since the sun moved into Libra, I feel a shift. Okay? This morning I was sitting with Spirit and thanking the Most High for blessing us with such a diversity of gifts and operations of them on the platform. Please do not take the opportunity and experience lightly that we have been privileged to have. I don't. It is rare. As I continued sitting, I saw something happening around spring 2025. So in my vision, as I was sitting in meditation, I was taken to the spring of 2025, where the months of March, April, and May were highlighted to me, the peak month being the month of April 2025. In the future, I will be talking more about that, and I will cast a chart and do some astrology on it, because I can see that there are going to be some major things happening in this country on many levels around that time. So I saw a big shift happen. I don't know if it was in the economy, commercial real estate market, or both. Whatever it was, it triggered a massive event in the commercial real estate area. Then I was taken by my angel, and the years flashed before me. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. And I stopped at 2029. I saw late 2029. And as I moved by the Spirit with my angel, he showed me many buildings that were vacated, offices, high-rise, corporate buildings. It was not just in one city, but it was all over the country. It was not just in lower income areas, but it was all parts of the city. And there were vacant buildings. And he took me beyond 29 to look even further, and I saw even more vacant buildings. He took me across the nation, city after city, and town after town. My angel said, this is the effects of 2025. All right. So I cannot tell you exactly at this point what's going to happen, but there will be a major event around the spring of 2025. And I believe and I feel that it is going to be in the area of economics. Could be a crash or whatever. It could be some type of war event that caused this, and that will cause just a major shift in the economy in this nation here and around the world. I did not see people, and the properties were not maintained as I looked. Some areas were like ghost towns. Right? This is as I was looking into 2029 and beyond. But this was based on some events that happened in 2025. Many buildings, okay, let me just go back here. Okay, here is what disturbed me most. He said to me, many buildings used for churches and religious gatherings are about to go into foreclosure and shut down for various reasons and be no more. It was very disturbing for me when I heard that and when I saw that. I looked and I saw by late 2029, there will be many buildings that have been vacated for some years. Seemingly no one bought them or moved in as they sat empty for a while. I saw the names, I saw marquees, I saw signs broken, I saw dirty places, the windows were broken. I saw church buildings in a state of dilapidation for lack of care. I saw other buildings. As I looked through the city after city, they were becoming like ghost towns. They were becoming like historic buildings, businesses, and churches. It was scenes like from a dystopian type movie society as we move beyond 2030 in some areas. As harsh as it may sound, it is necessary. I hope you're listening. I am not here to try to scare anyone or to talk about judgment, but as a seer and as an astrologer, it is my responsibility to tell what I see so people may prepare. As harsh as it may sound, it is necessary. This is part of the effects of Pluto return. And the nation, this nation, must be reset in order to move forward. So this is a part of the reset. There will be a trigger around spring of 2025. Everything is already in play right now for a reset. However, this does not have to be the reality for those functioning beyond the dense three-dimensional reality. So what I'm saying, there will be a people that will be greatly affected by these events that are happening and will be happening, and there will be others that will not be affected greatly by it. Your spiritual ascension, not a literal rapture, is your only escape, no matter which country you live in. I'm going to repeat that because this is what he said to me. Your spiritual ascension, not a literal rapture, is your only escape, no matter which country you live in. And as the vision went on, I saw like a time bomb and I heard the ticking. And this is what I wrote. I see a ticking time bomb that will cause an implosion of corporate real estate markets. This is not by accident, and this is not only just the corporate real estate market. Okay, it is already planned. It is already planned. A trigger will be pulled around the spring of 2025 that will cause a fast domino effect. You will start to see you will start to see these things beginning to happen before then. But this is when the trigger will be pulled. I see tall corporate buildings, stories, 20, 30 or more stories high, completely empty. No one working in them, not just a few. Offices in a mess, papers and documents all over the floor as the angel took me in, looking into different places. It appears and feels as though everyone had to suddenly leave without much warning. This will be big. This will be big. You will start to hear and see news stories of nearly empty buildings and completely empty buildings of well-known companies going under in shopping malls. By 2029, many major legal firms, insurance companies, financial, banking groups, communications groups will be no more. There will be upcoming extreme mergers, hostile takeovers and acquisitions happening one after the other. They will be found futile for many seeking to escape. Building after building will become empty. This is the plan, no matter who is selected or elected for president. This is the plan, no matter who is elected or selected for president. hope you got that. At some point, this will be a wonderful investment opportunity. This will provide wonderful investment opportunities for those who are watching. I don't know all the legal or financial jargon, but for a time, there will be some type of restrictions on purchasing or leasing of many of these buildings. I don't understand that. I don't have the words to use for it. All I know is I saw buildings, office buildings and huge buildings, and I saw elastic bands around them, and it was preventing them from being released for purchase or for leasing. And you will find that all across the country in the years to come for a time. Number 2, understand the privilege that we've been given to gather live on Zoom. Again, this is what I wrote in the post on my Telegram group. Understand the privilege that we've been given to gather live on Zoom and to function freely in the Spirit. It will not be like this always. As I continue to sit in His presence, I could see that within the next 2 to 3 years, technology and algorithms will be searching for subjects and words the system find threatening due to the extreme, violent, and hate speech. Due to the extreme, violent, and hate speech that will be released and that will be increased and accelerated on social media platforms starting this fall. This fall is going to be a launching pad for extreme, violent, and hate speech, to the point of people calling out people by name and putting their information, not just political people, putting their information into social media and ordering hits, and ordering people to go and to riot and protest and to disturb their peace, to destroy their properties. I saw this happening. I heard it. And it's going to become so crazy that it's going to create such a censorship where it will be hard for people like most of you and I to actually function. Okay? That's what the Spirit said. All right. There may be a warning or two before they close accounts indefinitely. We're talking about platforms like Zoom. It will not only be the host accounts, but also those who are attending meetings. There is coming a major censorship on free speech. Heavy penalties will be paid. And this is because of stupid people, ignorant, hateful people, misusing and abusing free speech. I see there is a hidden planned acquisition for Zoom. Mark this down. There is a hidden plan and acquisition for Zoom. This will come by deceit, set up, manipulation, and sabotage. I don't know who the owner of Zoom is. I believe he's an Asian brother or something, but he needs to know this, that there is a plan by deceit, setup, manipulation, and sabotage. What you see as Zoom today will be called by another name. In the public, it may appear as a sale, but in my vision, I see it as if a gun is being put to one's head and being forced, or else damaging information will be leaked. Take advantage of the opportunity to gather on your platforms. Learn and grow as a community. Even the opportunities here on Telegram could be limited. We're living in a time where insecure, greedy, narcissistic, power-hungry men and women are being triggered. They would do whatever, say whatever to be in control. Okay, further, on September 24th, I had quite a few visitations that morning as I was in the presence of the Most High God. And he began to show me some other things here. And this is what I wrote. I told you this fall would be crazy. And I was speaking to my community that I've been telling them since spring, that when we get into the fall, I think maybe late winter to early spring, I said it, when we get into the fall, things are going to be crazy, and encouraging others not to be a part of it. Okay. This is what the Lord said, and he gave it to me poetic style. We have moved from the virgin to the scales, and the imbalance in this nation and the nations of the world is about to be revealed. You may see this as further opening of the seals. A false balance is an abomination, and a just weight is his delight. Yahweh detests dishonest scales based in deception, fabrication, lies, and those who seek to extinguish the light. The nations of the world have been weighed in the scales of Libra and found lacking. Everything in the political realm is about to accelerate to a space of craziness and physical attacking. The puppet masters behind the scenes want chaos and confusion. The lies from the politicians, pastors, and prophets have merged as one, spinning narratives to expand their delusions. The earth will soon shake, a big earthquake in this nation. Shake in violence, and there will be violence from politicians of the same party competing for the top. Fire and violence upon the land as some become completely unhinged. Protest non-stop. Breaking news will be seen and heard multiple times a day as the paid characters who read the script be forced to improvise and go live, some with tears in what they say. Disturbing, heart-wrenching, fearful sights as many fail to discern what's wrong or right. The coalition of politicians, pastors, and prophets have agreed to spin a certain narrative for their masses to believe. Only those who go within, not looking to men, won't be deceived. The ancient people of old demanded a king, someone to lead them and show them the way. They rejected the Spirit and refused to obey. The glory that once was departed, not seen again. It was not the end, but a chance to reset and begin. This fall season marks the time for the next step in the fall of many leaders, nations, and their economies. The fulfillment of many leaders delayed in prophecies. The fall is a rise for those who seek his face. Enter into that secret place. Okay. That was also on 24th. Okay. Further, you will see this manifest in the religious world. I see infighting of a major organization. This is basically moving from the political scene to religious organizations that I started to see, and infighting in major organizations. And what I saw, just to help you to understand, was something like a time of electing, appointing of maybe like the next, say, bishop or leader of that organization. And this is what the Spirit said. You will see this manifest in the religious world. I see infighting of a major organization, denomination. It will be during the time of their election of who shall lead them. There will be murders to prevent one from remaining in power or being elected. I see one, it will finally be discovered that was poison. This will come out in the news. This will become a big scandal. Another one feels like a gunshot. It was as if I felt the impact of it. You will see it. You will read about it in the news among religious leaders. Final word he spoke to me on that morning. I see the sword coming after the Balaams of the land, the prophets and preachers in coalition with politicians to deceive and speak things Yah has not spoken to them for the promises of gain, money, initiative, prestige, and power. They will be chased by the sword of Yahweh. They will be chased by the sword of Yahweh for deceiving the people of God. They will be chased for creating confusion and despair and lying to the people of the Most High God. They've come into a coalition with the politics of this land. By 2027, many that you see now, speaking of preachers, prophets, leading people, you will not be able to find them, or they will be irrelevant. I see deaths, scandals, and thefts will be their undoing as the Lord chased them with a sword. This prophetic transmission is released to educate, enlighten, and empower. These are things to pray about. It is not to create fear or judgment. It is simply the word of Yahweh. All right, just to move on to October the 6th. News before it happened. This is also what I posted in our Telegram group. Mystics, we are entering the second week of October. The political pot is being stirred. There will arise major concern and issues for those who vote. Challenges will persist for those in the states affected by the hurricane. Now, this was a repeat of what the Spirit had been revealing to us, and I decided to post it in the Telegram group. There will be issues with mail-in votes, just letting you know ahead of time, being lost or not counted. This problem will linger after everyone has voted. This will create more confusion and frustration, possibly prolonging the announcement of who is selected or elected for president. There will be major disruptions and confusions regarding where people are supposed to go and vote. That's what the Spirit says. Number 2, events around the middle of the month of middle of October, between October 13 and 17, with October 16 being highlighted, have a potential to become very extreme. I just want to tell you that around the middle of the month, we're going to enter into another shift. This shift is not a really good shift. It is a negative shift. It is the negative forces, the evil forces. However, you don't have to be a part of that. You don't have to be a part of that. The anger, the rhetoric, and all of the stuff is going to just go to the ceiling. Events and the rhetorics of some will seek to inflame others who are already not dealing with a full deck. This could be a time of violence, bloodshed, and riots, acceleration of negativity and anger. Now, this is not only what is happening in this country, but this is what's going to be happening across the world, around the world. You will see an acceleration of the war in the Middle East. You will see, as I said, potential, most likely some type of false flag event that will take place that will be similar to the October 7th false flag. Or you didn't know it. October 7th of last year was a false flag that gave Israel a pretext to go in and to commit genocide in Palestine. So you're going to see something else happen. This energy will not only be manifested in the U.S., as I said. This will become another critical time for war in the war theaters, developing and expanding in the world. Terrorist attacks and false flags. I kept hearing those phrases: terrorist attacks and false flags, terrorist attacks and false flags. So this is just wanting to be praying around this time. This is coming right up. It is coming right up on us. Okay, could be most impactful during those days. Prayer can change the outcome, lessen the impact, and prevent the enemies for doing their worst. Okay, now those are prophetic watch dates. October, we'll just say October 13th through 17 and 18. Those are prophetic watch dates. Now, I'll just say this. Before Biden dropped out of the race, I could clearly see that Trump would most likely win the contest, or they would put him in some way. However, with the change of the leadership, I don't see that happening. And those of you that follow the ministry know that that I prophesied and told that Biden would be dropping out, and told the time that he would do it, that he had to do it during that full moon. Now, we're coming up to another very important full moon. This one in October. This is around the 16th, 17th of October. And so this full moon here, I'm going on the record saying this, it could be a time where it becomes official that there has been a transfer of power from Biden to Vice President Kamala Harris, and she being president as she is and has been for some time. But it could become public around that time. And I'm also sensing that around that time, something major could go on with Biden that will cause this to happen publicly, although it has been done privately. And they have been little by little getting the information out. But unfortunately, most people can't hear it. They didn't hear it when they said it on The View. They didn't hear it when other slips were made, which were not slips. Okay, so just wanted to put that out there for you. Pray about it. Now, on a much lighter note, with this eclipse that we just had last week and the new moon on Rosh Hashanah, one of the things that the Lord spoke to me was this. This is in the house of Libra. And if you follow our ministry, or if you've taken my astrology classes or things like that, you know that the 7th house is the house of the spouse. It's the house of relationships. And the universe, the Most High God, gave us a ring. He gave us a ring. He says, I want to marry you. I want you to become the bride of Christ. That was one of the main messages in the eclipse that happened on October the 2nd. And it became the ring of fire in the 7th house, the house of marriage. And so that's one of the messages there. But just to go a little bit further, I am prophesying and I am seeing that there are many of you that are listening to my voice. Some of you had given up on finding love and romance. But I tell you that within the next 12 months, Some of you are going to find yourselves in relationships. You will be swept off your feet. It'll happen so fast, and the Spirit will be moving within you to just go with the flow. It will seem almost abnormal, unnatural, or don't I supposed to do this, or don't I supposed to know this person for maybe 5 years, or do this or that or the other. I'm not telling everybody this, but some of you will know that it won't be necessary, because there is a prophetic destiny that cannot be completed without that other person in your life. And so one of the messages of this solar eclipse on the 2nd is that marriages are being released, love and romance are being released, and people are going to find themselves loving again, living again. And as I said, for those that may not have been in a relationship for a long time and basically had decided that I don't really need that, and things are going to happen in such a way, and they will happen quickly. And for some of you, I have been in a relationship, but it's been dangling, and you haven't known, well, what is he really wanting? What is he really going to do? Or what is she really doing? In a very short time, you're going to see closure with things. You're going to see people committing and wanting to move forward. Some of you are going through things, or where the other person, there is yet a lot of baggage that has to be dealt with, where divorce, separation issues, and things regarding property has to be hammered out. And so it is taking a little while to get those things clear. But the Lord wants you to know that everything is going to move faster now. Everything is going to move faster now. And so allow him or allow her to deal with those issues without being pressured, because it is going to happen. And things are going to move subtly. And I also see a lot of, I guess I could call kingdom marriages developing. Now, these kingdom marriages are marriages where people are going to come together and they will commit to each other without getting permission from the state. They will commit to each other without getting permission from the state, and it will be legitimate, it will be legal, it will be before God. Okay, I see joy and laughter coming, and wonderful things happening. All right, those are some of the prophetic moments that were revealed to me between September and up to this date. Take these things, be praying about them, and we invite you to come to be a part of the live class. If you look into the description box of this video, here are some of the most recent videos. You will see a link, a Zoom link with the information, and these live classes take place every Monday at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Monday Pacific Standard Time, 6 o'clock p.m. We also do an early morning prayer at 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturday, Shabbat. All right, well, bless you with these prophetic words.